We begin tonight with a special report. ABC 7 is digging deeper into a national conversation about race and police. We're taking a look to see if racial profiling happens here at home. ABC 7's investigative reporter Nicole Kahn explaining what she found.
Larry, when it comes to answers about police and racial profiling, I decided the best thing to do to get answers for our community was to get hard data and see what the numbers had to say. But it turns out when it comes to race, even the data's not definitive. It's a tough topic to talk about, and opinions on police and racial profiling vary.
Too often we hear, no, it's not, but it's so hard to prove that it is.
It's hard for people to admit their bias. I mean, think about that question. Are you a biased person? No.
APD, like every police department in the state, has to turn in an annual racial profiling report. It simply lists the number of times each racial group was stopped with no comparison to the racial makeup of Amarillo. It doesn't offer any analysis on whether there is profiling. So ABC 7 requested all traffic stops that resulted in a warning or citation for 2015. There were 35,000 of them. Here's what ABC 7 found. Blacks are 10% of the traffic stops, but make up almost 7% of the Amarillo community, according to the 2010 census. Hispanics have 40% of the stops, but make up almost 29% of the community. But do the numbers qualify as racial profiling?
When you look at the numbers, I can't see where numbers lie.
So we took the data to the new Amarillo Police Chief, Ed Drain. Are there any concerns for you in that data?
I wouldn't be overly concerned about that. That's not very high.
Here's the issue with the data. People self-select their race on census data, but an officer determines a driver's race during a traffic stop. So it's hard to compare the data since it's not collected in the same way. Now here's where the data analysis gets tricky. The law doesn't require officers to use the information on a driver's license to make a race determination. The statute also doesn't state the race categories on a driver's license must match up with the race categories on the racial profiling report. That leaves officers to make a judgment call on race during every stop. Why is it that officers determine the ethnicity?
It is probably rare that an officer would ask someone that, and the legislature didn't require us to do that.
In fact, driver's licenses might not provide officers with accurate data. Hispanic didn't become an option on the Texas driver's license until 2013. That means until recently, Hispanics had to choose to be black or white. Because the Hispanic option is fairly new, many Hispanic drivers with older driver's licenses still have black or white as their race. So APD officers, in order to satisfy the racial profiling report requirements, must decide whether a driver is Hispanic and then check a separate box on a citation or warning. APD does have a policy that prohibits racial profiling. Chief Drain says cameras in patrol cars that record every stop deters profiling. And he says there's a better way to measure if profiling is a problem in our community.
Whether people file complaints.
ABC 7 requested racial profiling complaints for the last 5 years. APD would only give us the total number of complaints each year. There were none in 2011 and 2012. There were 2 each year since, including 2 so far this year. In the end, the data only gives us so much information on a complex and complicated issue. Chief Drain has requested implicit bias training for his officers to make them more aware of racial profiling. Since he's done that, the state attorney general has required that same training for all police departments in the state. Go to abc7amarillo.com to see all of my data on this topic. Reporting from the Amarillo Police Department, Nicole Kahn, ABC 7 News.